Gaurav Malhotra, the Executive Director at Axis Capital, joins us on the show. Gaurav, hi, good to be speaking with you. The incremental news flow today, of course, is the telecom auctions that got done. Happened fairly quickly, less than 1.5 days to be honest, and the overall amount was close to 11,340 crores. Was this largely on expected lines, or you're a bit disappointed by the muted participation?
Yeah, hi. So, see, we were expecting it to be muted, right? Because the operators have any which way spent and bid for 5G spectrum in 2022. Most of the spectrum which they wanted. This spectrum auction was more related to the spectrum which is coming up for renewal for, especially for Bharti and Vodafone Idea, which was administered, say, around 20 years back, and it needed to be renewed. So most of, or quite a bit of the bidding would have been related to that. And then there is something incremental which operators would have probably bid for. We are still awaiting the details. So on the whole, it was along more or less along expected lines.
Point to ask you, the way in the last 10 minutes of the market, the way Vodafone, Bharti have darted, is it just the spectrum or is there anything else brewing there? And what do you make of valuations of these two?
So see, in terms of there is always an expectation of tariff hike post elections, right? So I think so. Maybe the street was expecting that now this another event is sort of behind us, and maybe now the tariff hike is more imminent. Our house view has been that anytime in the next 1 to 2 months we should expect some tariff hike. Where we differ from the street is that the street is expecting around 2 hikes across 2 years, around 15% each. We don't expect 2 consecutive hikes, but we do expect one larger hike which will happen, so around say 25%. In terms of valuation, see, these stocks have moved up. They are sort of trading a little bit ahead of their long-term averages, but I think that the street is generally quite positively viewing this whole tariff increase. Note that the last major increase happened in 2021, so it's almost been 3 years since the last increase has happened.
But, given just back of the envelope calculations, Gaurav, on how much the tariff hike is going to be, given the previous hikes which have been undertaken, who do you think is going to win the ARPU race? Because as per what we understand, it will be Bharti once again.
See, the general view is that whichever operator has the more premium subscribers typically will have a better absorption. But our analysis actually showed, if you look at the last 2 tariff increases for both Bharti and Jio, the tariff transmission from the tariff to ARPU transmission was almost similar, around 60-65%. So I don't think so. There is much difference in this whole transmission and who will sort of benefit more or less.
Transmission as far as Jio is concerned and Airtel as well. But what about Vodafone? Because in the last couple of hike cycles, Vodafone didn't benefit as much as the other incumbents, right? Now with the balance sheet situation looking better, they're dabbling into the 5G as well. Do you see this time around to be different for Vodafone versus the earlier cycles?
Yeah, so we don't have a formal view on Vodafone, so I would sort of refrain from giving a view on the name.
Bharti Airtel and Jio specifically, what is your call? What's the target price? And do you think the tariff hike, which has been talked about since a long while now, because post-election everybody was discussing that, is it factored in the price already?
See, obviously some part of the tariff increase is obviously absorbed and reflected in the share prices of Bharti and Reliance. So our target price of Bharti is 1534, for Reliance is 3512. I think so around 15% ish hike, 15 to 20% hike is sort of getting priced into the stocks as we speak.
Okay, Gaurav, great to have you on the show. Thank you so much for taking the time out and speaking with us today.